As you may or may not know, my wife and I just got back from Vegas. It was a great trip. We ate, we drank, we had a blast. But then we got home and looked at the credit card, and I gotta say, it doesn't matter how much fun you're having, $25 for a drink is a ripoff. Frickin' Vegas. I hate getting ripped off, and so do the lads over at Harry's. They spent years watching the razor blade companies rip people off and said, no more. Not all heroes wear capes, my friends, and they want to prove that they're legit by offering you hot dogs a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. I've been telling you about them for months, and I'm genuinely proud to have Harry's as a sponsor of this show. I wasn't kidding. The plastic, futuristic-looking crap razors you get at the store are overpriced and they're poor quality. Harry's blades are crisp, clean, and classy. They're the kind of razor you'd expect your grandpa to have on his bathroom counter. And most importantly, they work. Shave after shave, they're so smooth, they're precise. I used to go through the crappy store blades all the time, but Harry's are built to last. And they're not just better quality than the other names, they're more affordable. And they deliver. Just set your schedule, and for as little as $2, new blades, shaving creams, lotions, everything you need, right to your door when you need it. I genuinely cannot think of a reason not to try Harry's. And I'm not just saying this because they're sponsors. They're the best shaving supplies I've ever used. Try them out, and if you're not happy, your shave's on them. And unlike the other subscriptions, they're really easy to cancel if you want to too, which is a nice bonus, but believe me, you're not going to want to cancel. Getting ripped off isn't funny. Switch to Harry's. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. That's harrys.com/RTG for a $3 trial set. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game. It is my retro gaming podcast where every week a buddy of mine and I sit down and we geek out about the games we played back in the day. My name is Adam Blank. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And this week it is episode 210. And we're going to talk about a collection of games that I've hesitated to cover here on Remember the Game for quite a long time. Since the early days of Remember the Game. Everybody knows Super Mario All-Stars, right? Maybe not everyone's played it, but everybody knows what this game is all about, and that's not why I hesitated. We've covered lots of games on the podcast where people already know the ins and outs of them. It's just that we've already covered all 4 of the games featured in this collection. Super Mario Bros. 3 was Remember the Game number 16. Mario Bros. Lost Levels was Remember the Game number 26. Mario Bros. 2 was Remember the Game number 52. And the original Super Mario Bros. Was Remember the Game number 150. So I was a little bit concerned that there wouldn't be much to say about any of these because we've already gone through each game. And these All-Star re-releases are just prettier versions of those games. I didn't know if there was enough meat on the bone, but then I started playing Mario All-Stars on my Switch again, and I remember just how fucking incredible these remasters look. And then I got thinking about the incredible value that was offered in this collection, and how it added save files, and how this was the first time a lot of us got a glimpse of Lost Levels, and I decided, you know what, if we can bang out a podcast about Tetris or Duck Hunt, we can find a way to make a podcast about Super Mario All-Stars, because this collection is superb, and as such, it deserves its own episode of a subpar podcast. So my buddy David Ray is my guest this week. He was actually my guest for the Mario 2, Lost Levels, and Super Mario Brother episodes of Remember the Game as well, so it just seems like the perfect fit. We got into Mario All-Stars and what makes it great, for sure, 100%, but then we also just talked about retro game collections and compilations, how common they are now, the value they offer, the NES games we'd like to see get the All-Star treatment and stuff like that. This turned out to just end up kind of becoming a discussion about these types of collections as opposed to 100% about Mario All-Stars. About 50-50. More All-Stars talk than not, but we get into a lot of other things too. And frankly, I think it turned out better than I expected it was going to when we sat down to record. And we're going to get there in just a minute, because speaking of stuff that turns out to be a lot better than you expect it to be, it's time for another edition of the Remember the Game infamous intro. Dun, 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 dun. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome aboard. Consider this your warning. Our intros are kind of long, but they're fun. We talk about video games and all that stuff. It's not all just advertisements or anything like that. You know what our intro is like the first couple levels in Super Mario Brothers, where you can almost play it on autopilot. 4-1 was always when Super Mario Brothers would get tough for me as a kid. That was when Lakitu would show up, and that's when things would start to go wrong for me. But our intro was like worlds 1 through 3. Just relax, look for a warp zone, and have a good time. But if you do want to skip it, if you're just here for Mario All-Stars talk, go about 30 minutes from now. Skip ahead about 30 minutes. You'll be into Mario All-Stars, and we'll rock and roll, all right? I got to get my plugs out of the way. I know I said the intro's not plugs, and now it's plugs, but this is the only... I just got to get my plugs out of the way right now. We have merchandise, hoodies, t-shirts, coffee mugs, tank tops, posters, all rocking art, hand-drawn by my man Joe at 4545creative.com. You can check out all of our merchandise at rememberthegamepodcast.com if you are interested. It is a great way to support us here at RTG. And if you're like, I don't do clothes, it's fucking, the entire planet is hot right now, we don't need clothes, then you can always just consider supporting us on Patreon. It is a great, incredibly cheap, ridiculously valued way to support us here at Remember the Game. For just $2 a month, you get 2 extra podcasts every week. Every week, you get exclusive access to my gaming news show, Game Patch, every Friday, where I look at all the biggest news in modern video games, and I add in my opinions and some profanity and stuff. And Expansion Pass goes live every Thursday, and it's a different show every week. We do game rankings. We look back at characters, consoles. We do some comedy episodes. There's game reviews. This past week, for Expansion Pass number 123, I reviewed WWE 2K22. I've been getting asked for my thoughts on it for quite a while now. I think most of you know I'm a pretty big wrestling game fan. And I figured I finally have played enough of it to pull the trigger and give it a review. It's not perfect. It's certainly not my favorite wrestling game ever, but I don't think it's bad. I think there's a nice skeleton there for them to build upon for WWE 2K23, and I hope they do it without managing to completely fuck it up. And as is becoming tradition during the infamous intro, here is a sneak peek of last week's episode of Expansion Pass, my WWE 2K22 review. And I respect the fact that they tried so hard to make every scenario make it so something works. Whether someone's standing on the ring apron, someone's leaning against the ropes, someone's leaning against the turnbuckles, running off the ropes, getting up, half up, this all the way up, whether you're holding them. There's tons of different ways to attack somebody, and there was obviously going to be some collision detection issues. That is not new to the 2K games. I don't think this is the worst wrestling game I've ever played with that, but there are times where it does get a little bit sloppy. The other thing I found sloppy with the controls, sometimes interacting with the environment and the stuff that's laying around can be a pain in the ass. I find climbing the turnbuckles to be a pain in the ass because sometimes your guy won't climb. He'll just taunt or he'll fucking step out of the ring. And it's, again, this isn't the first game to do it, but it can be very frustrating. You're trying to pick up a weapon. I got boned so many times in this game because I was standing right beside a ladder and I was hitting the left bumper, which is how I'm supposed to pick it up. But my guy wouldn't pick it up because I wasn't standing in exactly the right spot. So that's now available on our archives. And this week, for Expansion Pass number 124, I'm going to do an old school ranking episode. It's been a while since I did a ranking episode. And I have played so many retro games for the first time since I launched Remember the Game over 4 years ago. It has been years of just discovering retro titles that I might have missed as a lad. So this week, I'm going to count down the top 10 retro games I've played for the first time since launching Remember the Game. It'll be my new discovery, top 10 new discovered retro games. So again, $2 gets you 2 additional podcasts every week, plus instant access to over 200 archived podcasts. Plus, you get to join our Remember the Game Discord. You get a chance to vote in our Patreon poll at the end of every month. You get the ability to submit comments to be read on all of our podcasts. You can DM with me, and you get a shout out here on the podcast and get to hear me mispronounce your name like I'm about to do to most of these people. A huge thank you to our newest Patreons: Luis M. Mora, Max Power, I love the Simpsons references, Shifty Looking Thane, Chase Mostrom, Chic your booty, I get it, Chic your booty, Justin Mystic Justice Coughlin, that's hard to say, Fleeticus of Worcestershire, fuck me, Fleeticus, that name's gonna fuck me up every time I say it, Raven Dark, Mike, Mikal Prages, sorry Michael, Kev, that one I can say, Richard Barrera, Richard Barrera, Michael Sasbo, Maurice Del Taco, Kevin Norris, Phil M, Arthur Signs, Tristan McSquish, Tadpole, Eric Christensen, and Michael Jobs. I'm sure I fucked up most of those. But either way, holy cow, that was maybe the roughest group of shoutouts we've ever done. Thank you all so much, and welcome to Remember the Game Industries. If you're interested, more information is at patreon.com/rememberthegame. And do not forget, 5% of our Patreon of our Patreon income every month is going to be added to a pool that we're going to donate to the Stollery Children's Hospital this December as part of my 24-hour charity stream. We're over $1,500 already. So you get a ton of new podcasts. I get to do a good deed. I keep my lights on. It's wins all around. So there you go. No more Patreon plugs till the very end of the show. And you can find me on Twitch if you're interested. Twitch.tv/rememberthegame. I have no real schedule. I just get on there whenever I can. And sometimes I play stuff. Sometimes I build Legos. Sometimes I just talk. It's fun. And I never beg for subs or anything. So it's pretty stress-free stream if you're interested. Twitch.tv/rememberthegame. That's enough blowing myself. Let's blow some of you by blowing in some cartridges. It is our opening segment here on the show. I read a few comments and questions from our Patreons, usually gaming related, but not always. And we call this segment Blowing in the Cartridge.
He blows all right. He blows big time.
That's it, honey. Get into the spirit.
Let's blow. And I'll be honest with you, like, we get 60, 70, 80, 90 comments a week now sometimes, and I pick 6 or 7 for blowing in the cartridge. And for those of you that are wondering, like, what's the process of how I pick these, there really isn't one. I just read through them, and if something catches my eye or I think I can give a good answer to it, I read it. I get a lot of messages in blowing in the cartridge just saying, hey, your show helps me get through the day. Your show helped me get through a difficult time. I really do appreciate those. I don't read a ton of them on the podcast because I feel like I suck my own dick on this show enough as it is, but know that I read all those and I appreciate them. The point I wanted to make is most weeks I just pick a bunch of random comments, but for some reason this week there happened to be a bunch of comments asking me about, are you ever going to cover this game? Or what do you think of this game? And so I just thought, all right, well, you know what? For a very rare instance, I'm going to stick to a theme and just stick to questions like that this week. So I got a whole bunch of them. So this will be a much more video game centric blowing in the cartridge segment than normal. Luis Benitez wrote in and said, hey, Adam, long-time listener, first-time commentator. I don't know. Fuck. I believe you, Luis, but I get a lot of those. And people lie because they fucking... Anyways. So I've heard over a couple of episodes, and I don't know why, what's with all the hate toward Assassin's Creed? I personally love that game, and I have to agree, it's been a lot of games coming out year after year with pretty much the same type of gameplay. So I want to know, why do you hate it so much? Please don't put me on probation. No, you're not on probation. You're safe. I just want to... I don't hate Assassin's Creed. I'm not sure if it comes across that. I don't care about them. It's just indifference. Like, I played the first one, and I didn't love it. And then I played the second one and I didn't love it. And then I started to realize, like, they do very much have that formula. And I don't care about history. And I just kind of got bored of them. So it's not that I hate them. It's complete and utter indifference. That's all. Like, that's what it comes down to. There's a different, like, hate, for example. Like, what do I hate? Echo the Dolphin. I fucking hate Echo the Dolphin. I don't hate Assassin's Creed. I just, don't say hi to it at parties. That's all it is. So I don't hate it, for the record. Thanks for writing in, Luis. Or Lewis? I'm going to go with Luis because Luis sounds cooler. Catherine Clark wrote in and said, I would love to get a Remember the Game episode about The Last of Us before the remake comes out. That game completely changed gaming for me and raised my standard for all games to follow. I know they're remaking it in less than a month, but they've said a lot of the mechanics and gameplay will be different. It would be fun to revisit the original game and remember why this game is so deserving of a remake in the first place. So, first of all, I'm a massive Last of Us fan, if you didn't know. And for months, I have been talking about how that I don't think the remake is necessary at all. I'm going to buy it because I love The Last of Us. I can't help myself. And it does, the more I see of it, the more I'm like, this isn't just a right-click save as PS5 game and sell it. Like, they are cleaning it up and changing it for sure. And I'm excited to play it. As far as an episode of Remember the Game about The Last of Us, it is coming. Mark McHugh is going to be the guest. We've already talked about it. But we're saving it for a milestone number. So I can't imagine, like, I'll be honest, like, I think there's only 2 episodes of the show left, maybe 3, since The Last of Us until The Last of Us remake comes out. We won't be able to get it in before then. The Last of Us is one of my top 3 or 4 favorite video games of all time. So we will talk about it, but it's probably going to be either episode 250 or episode 300. I want it to be a milestone. I want to replay the original before we review it, and there's just no way I'm going to be able to sneak it in before the remake comes down. I will be reviewing the remake on Expansion Pass, though. I can guarantee you that. So you will get it, just probably not before the remake comes out. But yeah, fuck yeah, I love goddamn Last of Us. That shit's the best. Another, I didn't plan on this, but Luis M. Mora, another Luis, wrote in and said, "Hey Adam, I just signed up for the Patreon. I just signed up on Patreon for the first time. I love your show very much." Oh, thank you very much, Luis. "I'm hoping you'll get to the Sly Cooper games one day in the future. I know you don't like stealth games, and I don't know if you'll like these games or not, but I promise you'll care for the main characters. Stay cool." That's a nice sign off. No one ever tells me to stay cool. That's nice. I didn't think I was cool. But thanks a lot for the support, Luis. Welcome to the Patreon and everything. I'm definitely interested in playing Sly Cooper. We've had Sly Cooper on a couple of our Patreon polls, and it just hasn't gotten over the hump and hasn't gotten there. But I have. My buddy Darren lent me, I can't remember how many of them I have. I know I've got at least the original one here. And I promise you, I will, before Remember the Game dies someday, I will 1,000,000% guarantee there'll be an episode about Sly Cooper. I don't know if I'll love it or not either. The art style and everything intrigues the shit out of me, but I do hate stealth games. So I'm getting pulled in two directions, but we will cover Sly Cooper at some point. I guarantee it. Joey Jojo Jr. Shabadoo, that is the worst name I ever heard, wrote in and said, "Ahoy there, Adam. Since you're revisiting games from earlier episodes, do you plan to do that for Mega Man 2 as well? If you do you have any plans on playing it on difficult? I remember you mentioning that Mega Man 2 is easier than the other games in the series, but that's because normal is actually easy mode, while difficult is normal and more in line with the other Mega Mans. Besides from damage and health, it changes some things with enemies as well. It would be interesting to hear what you think of the actual standard difficulty for Mega Man 2, especially since you enjoyed it for being more relaxing, if I remember correctly." So if you don't know what he's talking about with revisiting episodes, beginning with episode 105, every episode that ends in 5, I've revisited a game we covered in the early days of the show because I hate the early episodes of the podcast. And we covered Mega Man 2. Fuck me. It was episode 4 or 5, like way back in the early days. So to answer your first question, we will absolutely be revisiting Mega Man 2 at some point, Junior Jojo. 1,000,000,000%, or Joey Jojo, pardon me. 1,000,000,000%. I have played it on difficult as well. I still stand by the fact that I think it's one of the easier Mega Mans. It does make it more difficult, but like I still think I find it easier than Mega Man 3, Mega Man 2. Mega Man 4 was pretty easy. I don't remember Mega Man 5 and 6 as well. But I still find it to be one of the easier Mega Mans. But yes, I'll definitely replay it before we review it, just because any excuse to play Mega Man. And we will 100%, sometime in the episode 200s, we will be revisiting Mega Man 2. Bet your ass on that. Spiro the Hero wrote in and said, "Is Blank from Final Fantasy IX secretly you? He has his eye covered, which I figured was your lazy one. And maybe the reason, early game spoiler, he gets petrified in the forest is because his asthma slowed him down." End spoiler. So for the record, I don't think that's a big spoiler. And it's like an old game. Yeah, you're fine. No, but it is part of the reason Final Fantasy IX is one of my favorite Final Fantasies, because there's a character named Blank. And like, that's fucking awesome. Spiro continued on a serious note. "Would you ever consider doing episodes of Remember the Game about ROM hacks / fan-made games? Maybe comparisons to the original? There's a lot of crazy stuff out there for just Super Mario World, Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, Mario Kart, etc." So this is something I get asked about sometimes. I've never played a ROM hack or a fan-made game of any type. And before you yell at me or anything for it, it's not that I'm opposed to them. I don't want to fuck around with them on PC. I fucking hate PCs. You know, I hate playing on PC. And I know that they could probably be added to my mini consoles. I just suck at that stuff too. I have hacked them, but it was like pulling teeth. My big thing is like, I don't quite know what I would do with them for the podcast. I don't know if I want to do an episode of Remember the Game about a ROM hack, because it's not really a retro game. It's like a fan-made modern game of a retro game. Maybe someday on Expansion Pass. But right now I have so many legitimate retro games that I still have to get to for the show that, yeah, fucking around with trying to get them to work and downloading them and fucking around my goddamn PC. Fuck, I hate messing with my PC. And any of that stuff just isn't something I see myself finding time to do in the immediate to near future. The one exception is Ninja Turtles Rescue Palooza, which I still really want to get around to playing. And then I'd like to reach out to the creator and ask them to come on the show. But as far as ROM hack reviews, maybe someday, but not something I'm planning to do in the immediate future. So I hope that answers your question. Thanks, Spiro. Gust of Wind said, "Will you ever do an episode on Donkey Kong Jungle Beat?" I'm assuming Donkey Kong Jungle Beat are those ones you had to play with the 2 bongo drums. Never say never, but I've never played them, and it's not like that's the type of game that I can just download off the eShop and play. So I won't say I'll never review it, but I'd have to track. And please, nobody send me. I'm not saying send me a copy. Don't send me a copy. If there was, maybe someday if I ever see one at a good price or something, I'll pick it up. But I've never played it to review it, and yeah, I'd have to track down the bongos and all that fucking stuff. I do love Donkey Kong though, so maybe someday. And then finally, it's letter time. Poco wrote in and said, "Hi, Adam. I'm back on the Patreon again." Well, welcome back, Poco. Just wondering, what game would you say had the biggest discrepancy between how much you thought you were going to like it and how much you actually liked it? What was the biggest letdown and what was the most pleasant surprise? So this kind of ties into Expansion Pass tomorrow, where I'm going to rank my 10 favorite games that I've played since launching Remember the Game. But if I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. Maybe you're just talking about any game period, but I stuck with games I played for the podcast. The game that disappointed me the most that I played for the show is probably Castlevania Symphony of the Night, just because I wanted to love it, because I love the Metroidvania genre, and I just didn't. I mean, you can go back and listen to the episode. I just didn't like it that much. And I know I took shit for it, and I get it, but I think it was so built up in my head as like one of the greatest games of all time, and I really love that genre. And then I played it, and I was like, this looks nice, but every aspect of this has been done so much better now. I just had a hard time getting into it. So sorry to Castlevania fans, but Symphony of the Night's probably my biggest disappointment. As far as the game I've played on the podcast that surprised me the most in a pleasant way, Need for Speed Most Wanted is up there. Bully is up there, but I would say Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is probably the game. If you told me 5 years ago that Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic would be one of my favorite RPGs of all time, I probably would have slapped you in the face, because I never played it back then. I'd never seen a Star Wars movie, but then when Disney Plus came out, I finally watched all the Star Wars movies, and then when KOTOR won our Patreon poll, I finally played it, and despite the fact that I could barely understand the combat system for the first half of that game, because I've never played a game like that before, and despite the fact that it is a little bit slow, at least to start, I completely fell in love with KOTOR. And a lot of that just has to do with HK-47, who's one of the greatest party members in the history of RPGs. But Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic would probably be my biggest surprise. And yeah, Castlevania Symphony of the Night would unfortunately be my biggest disappointment. So thanks for writing in, Poco. And thanks to everybody that wrote in on Blowing in the Cartridge this week. We got to move on. Let's change things up and let's get into our Smash Hits segment, the official game show of Remember the Game Industries. Play one, remake one, erase one. And a huge thank you to Classic Concentration from the NES for unknowingly providing us with the theme music for the show. The rules are simple. Every week I give our Patreons 3 retro video games. They can play one as it was released, remake one as a modern game, and the third game is erased from time forever. And as always, there are no wrong answers, but there is a right one. We'll get there in a minute. And this time around, I went with 3 of the best platformers on the SNES, considering we're talking about a collection of great platform. I hate when people say SNES. I shouldn't have done that. Super Nintendo. But anyway, I went with 3 of the best platformers on the SNES. It's Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island, and the first Donkey Kong Country. And 53% of you said that you would play Super Mario World, remake Donkey Kong Country, and erase Yoshi's Island. And listen, I agree with that logic if we're assuming that if we erase Super Mario World or we erase Donkey Kong Country, it'll have drastic impacts on the future of those franchises. But as you may or may not know, there are no set rules for what impact erasing a game has on the future. It's all subjective, which is what makes this game so clever. And without that in mind, without worrying about ruining the franchises, I don't know if I would go with 53% of you. We had almost 100 comments this week picking your play, remake, and erase. So I could not pick all of them. Obviously, I picked a few. 92 comments. Fuck me. Let's see what a few of you had to say here, and then I'll tell you what the right answer was. Cornelius Talmadge wrote in and said, play Super Mario World because it's very rare that you need to remake a Mario game. Remake Yoshi's Island into something a little bit less annoying, then erase that donkey, as I've never really liked his games. Oh, fuck. I'm a huge Donkey Kong Country fan. So, I'm not going to put you on double secret probation because you're entitled to your opinion. And I just said that I didn't really like Assassin's Creed, even though people love Assassin's Creed. So, I can't. Oh, boy. Single secret probation. I can't go all the way on you, Cornelius, because you're entitled to your opinion. But my good eye is twitching. How can you not like Donkey Kong? Fuck Oh, you fucking kids. Joel LeBlanc wrote in and said, Super Mario World is a perfect game. You already know that. How about a Donkey Kong Country remake called Donkey Kong Mania? Same SNES graphics, but with a best of soundtrack of all 3 games. Same for the levels and characters with a few new features, of course. I would buy that without hesitation. I'd actually buy that too. Yoshi's Island was never in my house back in the day, so erasing it is not a big loss for me. See, now there you go. You went with the popular consensus of play Mario, remake Donkey Kong, erase Yoshi's Island. Logic makes sense. I will say, an all-star collection of Donkey Kong Country from the Super Nintendo sounds, I'd fucking day one buy that as well. I get you. Trash Taroth wrote in and said, easy breezy lemons, this one. Erase Donkey Kong Country. I've never cared for the series and much preferred... Oh, fuck. And much preferred Donkey Kong 64. I don't know if anyone knows this. Like, I fucking hate that game. We've not covered it on the podcast. It's the one Donkey Kong game I've played. I fucking hate that goddamn game. Other than the rap. Oh, Donkey Kong Country 64 makes my fucking head spin. The fucking game. Oh my God. I don't know if I can get through the rest of your comment, Trash Taroth. I never cared for Donkey Kong Country and I prefer... Oh, fuck. Trash Taroth continues. Remake Super Mario World. I think making it a 3D Mario game would look and feel great. No, Mario's better in 2D. Fuck me. And then play Yoshi's Island. It's all right how it is. And subsequent titles are better anyway. I have no idea if you know that I prefer my Mario in 2D and don't like Donkey Kong 64, and you're fucking with me, or if these are just honest opinions. But whoa, Trash Taroth. Oh my God, my fucking teeth hurt right now because I'm grinding my fucking jaw so hard. Oh, fuck. Zach Efron wrote in and said, play Donkey Kong Country because those graphics were revolutionary for the time and a remake wouldn't have the same impact. I actually agree with that. Remake Super Mario World. The possibilities are endless and making a side-scroller with Mario Odyssey-like graphics would be very nice on the eyes. Delete Yoshi's World. This is the ugly redheaded stepchild of Super Mario World. It's Yoshi's Island. But I can get on, I like Yoshi's Island. I'm a little surprised it's getting the hate it is from so many people, but that's fair enough, Zac Efron. And Tristan McSquish, I love that handle, wrote in and said, first time voting on this, though I've been playing off and on. I've been playing off of Post-it notes at work for a while now. That's awesome. This one's already difficult to start with. I'll play Yoshi's Island because it's the game I remember pretending to be sick from school to be able to play without my older brother or sister getting into it first. I know this game like the back of my hand. I'll remake Donkey Kong Country as it's the first game my older brother and I actually played together without fighting. I was normally Donkey, he was always Diddy. Well, this originally annoyed me. I got better by the end of the deal by playing as his sweet, non-playable characters in Kirby Superstar. Sadly, I'll have to erase Super Mario World as I don't have a strong tie to it, and the only tie I do have is from going to my grandfather's when I was a kid, and they had an SNES. I was always uncomfortable being there, so while Super Mario World was a great comfort at the time, my love for the others is just stronger. See, if you're going to erase Super Mario World, that's the logic that I could be like, all right, fair enough. You played the other two more? Fair enough. I can't get mad at that. Fair enough. 16% of you voted the way I did this week. I had to think hard about this one, including Jim Johnston, who said, play Donkey Kong Country because it's already the best game Nintendo has ever released. That's bold. Remake Super Mario World because it would look great with updated graphics, and delete Yoshi's Island because it does nothing for me. Now, I don't agree with your logic. I don't think on any of those, but I do agree with your order, Jim Johnston. I myself would play Donkey Kong Country because I love that game. I still think it looks great. I still think it plays great. I can't think of a single thing I would change other than maybe I'd make it a little bit harder. But other than that, Donkey Kong Country is fire. I would remake Super Mario World only because I've played it so many times. I would remake it and just give me DLC. Give me more content, more playable characters. That's all I want. I don't need to change it. Just give me more of it. That's all. And then I'm going to erase Yoshi's Island. And I really tried to come up with a reason not to erase Yoshi's Island. I really like this game a lot. It's really fucking good. I just can't bring myself to push Donkey Kong Country or Super Mario World off the ledge. Those are two of my favorite video games ever. Whereas Yoshi's Island is just a really good platformer. So I'm fucking sorry, Yoshi's. I really like that game. I'll try not to make them this hard again in the future because I didn't want to erase one of them. So I understand why so many of you yelled at me for it. Thanks to everyone that played along. What have I been up to over the last 7 days? And then we'll get into Super Mario All-Stars. I've mostly been playing 2 games. I've been playing Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, which if you followed me on Twitter or Instagram or in our Discord, I have broken up / rage quit with this game at least 3 times during my playthrough. I was so sick of this game's crap, but then I kept coming back. So it did something right that it kept hooking me. What a weird fucking game. We will be reviewing Oddworld Abe's Odyssey in the coming weeks here on Remember the Game for all of you PS1 fans. I have a lot to say about that fucking game. Some good, some bad. I don't ever remember a game where I was like, there are aspects of this game that I think are a 10, and there are aspects of this game that I think are a 1. It's fucking really weird. So we'll get into that in the coming weeks here on Remember the Game. And then I've been playing Spider-Man Miles Morales on my PS5, and it's fucking excellent. I'll probably review it on Expansion Pass when I'm done, even though it's a little bit late. It's got me more excited for Spider-Man 2 than I was before because Venom's going to be in it, and I forgot just how much fun it is to play a game where you whip around a city dressed as Spider-Man. Those are the 2 primary games I've been playing. A couple other games I'm playing for the pod, but you'll find out about them when it's time. All right, let's talk Super Mario All-Stars. That's why you're all here. I like to give our listeners a chance to sound off on the game we're talking about before my guest and I hog the microphone. A couple of comments from our patrons. Christopher Hughes wrote in and said, I was 11 years old when this game released. The games I already loved at the graphical capacity of the SNES, all on one cartridge, was a magical experience. Does my memory serve me that there was also a version that included Super Mario World? There was, Christopher. I will say for our review this week, we primarily stick to the version without Super Mario World, but we do touch on that cartridge as well. So we will get into that a little bit. Arthur Signs, sorry if I said your name wrong, Arthur, wrote in and said, Super Mario All-Stars, because Super Mario World wasn't enough Mario. It gave the OG Super Mario Brothers a much-needed facelift, gave us access to the lost levels, which despite owning All-Stars as a kid, I finally played through on the Switch because of you, Adam, and fuck is that game hard. It's one of the hardest games I've ever played. We had the fun but weird Super Mario Brothers 2, but most importantly, it brought back Super Mario Brothers 3. And I don't care what anybody says, this is the best Mario game and made an already great looking and playing game even better. I mean, I slightly disagree that Mario 3 is the best Mario game, but I do think it's like a top 3 Mario game. And I do agree that it made an already great looking and playing game even better. We're just going to, oh my God, that game is so good. Lord Finish said, this is awesome. Hands down, the best remake/remaster in history. I never played this in my SNES days, but picked it up in my later years as an adult. What a way to experience your childhood favorites. This is the standard, I think, whenever I play one, remake one, erase one. Absolute GOAT. So we get into that. Is this the best remaster ever made? And that's something we're going to get into a little bit more on the podcast you're about to hear. I think there's a serious argument that this might be. Like, I mean, we used to look at, and I think I use this example on the podcast, but like, to me, it's a difference from like a full-blown remake. You look at, Resident Evil 2 remake versus Resident Evil 2. I don't put that in the same discussion as Super Mario Brothers 3 on the All-Stars package versus the Super Mario Brothers 3, the original version, because it's just a remaster where they cleaned it up. But I think it's definitely an example of the best remasters ever, 100%. And Stephen Parnell wrote in and said, love playing this game. It kept me entertained for hours as a kid. I also used to play with my dad, so I have very fond memories of this collection. As I assume just about anybody that grew up with this collection does. How can you say a bad word about Super Mario All-Stars? It's straight fire. I'm not going to ruin the score I give it, but I will tell you all right now, it is one of the incredibly rare games that is sniffing around my elusive perfect score rating. Whether it got it or not, you're going to have to listen and find out. And you can do that right now. I'm going to cue up some music. Even the music in this game is fire. And when it stops, my buddy David and I are going to take another look at Super Mario All-Stars for the SNES, which originally released in North America on August 11th, 1993. Enjoy the podcast, everybody. Let's go. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Everyone that listens to this podcast knows about our illustrious CEO, my dog Molly. But the other silent partner behind the scenes is my wife. And let me tell you, my friends, a 17-year relationship with another person that has to talk to and live with you is a lot harder to maintain than one with a dog. We've had our ups and downs, and as you all know, a relationship isn't all sunshine and rainbows. They can be a lot of work. You get out what you put in when it comes to relationships, and talking to a therapist can be a fantastic way to put in some work. They can help you work through your issues, learn to communicate better, and even just provide you with an ear to bend when you need it. I've talked to my therapist about my relationships, especially when it came to my stand-up comedy career and how much I was away from home, and they helped me work on ways to keep my relationship strong even when I was out on the road. It turned out our relationship was actually better when I was out on the road, but that's a story for another day. And I know, right? Therapy. Who has the time these days? BetterHelp hears you, and they're making it easy. Fill out a quick form online, and they'll match you up with a therapist that suits your needs and that'll work around your schedule. You pick the meet times, and you can get your therapy fix from anywhere over video, phone, or just chat. Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit betterhelp.com/rememberthegame today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame. All right, so joining me via the blank phone this week is a longtime friend of the show, the gentleman of Remember the Game Industries, my buddy David Ray. David, how's it hanging, man?
I'm doing pretty well. I just realized that the gentleman of Remember the Games, like I realized that now that's like my wrestler persona.
Oh
now,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
I look at you as like Remember the Games William Regal, except you're not like a heel. You're like a nice guy, but like. Yeah, like you're just easily the
Regal.
classiest, most elegant of all of my guests. Not that that's saying much, but
yeah,
still.
Regal when he's like in charge of NXT or whatever.
Yeah,
and he was like,
like the modern God, I love William Regal so much.
So good.
I wish if you had an accent, it'd be no. It does. No, it does. Okay, it doesn't matter. Anyway,
nope, that's a bad choice.
The city of Great Britain would shit all over me if we started doing that. So
the city of Great Britain.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. So in case I guess. Every once in a while, now that we get new listeners, I get somebody asking about like the lore of Remember the Game. And one of them is the city of Great Britain. And all it is was there was a listener from Great Britain that gave me a really bad review like 2 years ago. And just called me like a rambling idiot and shit all over the show. And which is true. I am a rambling idiot. Yeah. And so anyway, I said, as a joke, I said something along the lines of like, you and all the other people in the city of Great Britain. And it just stuck. And so now, for all of you listening on the other side of the pond, I'm fully aware that Great Britain is not a city. It's like a town or something. But I just stick with the bit for the sake of trying to piss that one person
Yeah, I think
off.
It's like a county maybe.
Yeah,
like
I think.
It's like a shire.
I thought it was just a farm outside of a pub. Anyways. Don't yell at me, Europe. Anyway. So we're talking Mario All-Stars this week, and dude, I gotta say, part of me is surprised it took 210 episodes to get to Mario All-Stars, but at the same time, part of me is like, on this podcast, we've reviewed Mario 1, 2, 3, and Lost Levels. You've done most of them, and so I was kind of like, is there enough here for another episode? But I've been replaying this on my Switch, and I forgot just how remarkably excellent this compilation is, and I was like, nah, we're gonna show this package some love. Mario All-Stars is fire, man. It's incredible.
I think it was the thing that killed the NES finally. Like obviously it was going to go away, but as soon as you release all of the Mario games and that you update the graphics,
and you add saves, which we'll get to, but it has saves. My God. Oh.
Yeah. You have everything about it just just shows off that you don't need the old NES anymore.
No,
you want to buy it because even if you were like a kid with NES and you were like, oh, I don't want to get the Super Nintendo or I can't get it or whatever, like that would inspire you. Like, man, I love the graphics, because that was the thing that floored me when I saw Super Mario All-Stars. Is like, you know what? There's like backgrounds and stuff, dude. And it moved like in 3D, like they scroll like they do in Super Mario World and everything.
Dude, like I've been replaying Mario 3 on it lately, and like so this package came out in 1993, so it's 29 years old, and it still looks magnificent. Like it is, all four of these games are gorgeous. Like so I'll ask you, like, I don't know if this is the first ever remaster. I don't know if that would be what it is, but like I will plant my flag in the sand right now and say this package still, after 30 years, stands up against some of the best remasters I've ever seen. Not full-blown remakes. That's a whole different thing. Like Resident Evil 2 remake to the original Resident Evil 2 it's a whole different game with the same story. This is just, we took the same basic engine and just polished it all up. And it is, in like, very few games have done it this well. It's so good. It makes me wish that we had gotten more. Like, I wish we had gotten a Legend of Zelda All-Stars, where they did
Yeah.
like the first 2 Legend of Zeldas in this kind of graphic, or a Mega Man All-Star. Like, I want to see some other NES games done up like this now because it looks so good.
Yeah,
Like-
absolutely. Especially like the Mario 1 and I guess Lost Levels. Because
Yeah.
have you ever seen Mario Lost Levels, like how it originally looked?
Yeah, I played it on the Wii when they released it on the I beat it on, that was the first time I beat it, was on the Wii, on the Virtual Console.
Okay, yeah.
It's, I mean, look, it's Mario. It's the original Mario.
Well, yeah, but also like it kind of doesn't look as good at the same time. Like the some of the sprites look strange.
Yeah.
But,
Well, and
like-
and Luigi's got his stupid, I hate his fucking jumps so fucking much. But you're right. Yeah, like it I've always said that the original Lost Levels to me feels like a fan-made game. Like it just it doesn't look quite right, doesn't play quite right. Like I like it, but it just doesn't seem quite right. Whereas you play it on here and it's like, God, it looks so good. I cannot, and it's, you know what's nice is this is one of the rare games I'm talking about on the show. I'm going to stop saying everyone listening to the show has played it, because every time I say that, someone yells at me. It's like, I never played it. But like, I will lay money that 90+% of the people listening to the show have played this package. So you all know exactly what we're talking about. It's just, they did no harm. Nothing in this package is worse than the original games.
Yes, right.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. You know how sometimes when there's a remake or a remaster, they just change certain things, and you're like the Crash Bandicoot. They remastered the Crash Bandicoot games a few years ago, and they look great. But like some people have said, and I kind of agree, they play a little bit different and not quite the same. Whereas these play identical to the originals, just better in every way. Oh.
There is one place I was like thinking about this. What are some differences between the original? Is there like something that stands out to me? And one, I mentioned this in the Mario 1 episode, but I didn't. I mentioned how it's different in Lost Level or in the All Stars, where it's in, I think, level 3-1 or 3-2 of Mario 1.
Yeah.
Where there's like a Koopa coming down a staircase, and you can jump on him, and you can like
get like infinite
bounce
lives.
against. Yeah, you can get infinite lives, and you actually, you might be able to do it in the All Stars version, but like the timing, something about the mechanics is slightly off, and it's like way more difficult than it ever was.
So it's
in
funny.
The original.
It's funny that you bring that up, because like I can't remember if I brought this up on that episode either, but like I think most of our listeners at this point know I don't consider myself really that great of. I would rate myself like a B as a gamer. I'm an average to slightly above. I'm fine.
Yep.
Mario's the one exception. I'm like I'll kick some ass in Mario. I get these games since from childhood to today. Never, not one time in my life have I ever been able to make that work. My mom used to do it for me when I was a kid. I cannot do it, and I don't get it. So I never would have known that it's harder in this one, because I think it's impossible no matter what. I don't get how people do it. And if you don't know what we're talking about, yeah, there's this part in the original Mario where the Koopa Troopa is on like the final set of stairs, and you jump on him on a stair, and then you kind of kick him into the back of the stair, jump, land on him as he comes off the stair, and it just starts a cycle. And you just end up
you keep jumping, and
you end up with like it ends up breaking the life counter. You end up with like shapes in the place of your live numbers and stuff.
Yeah, and if you go too much, I think it crashes the game. I never got to that point, but apparently there is a breaking point.
I've never been able to. It drives me insane. I've never been able to do that, and it pisses me off. But okay, well that must just, maybe that has to do with like the way the sprites look or something now, because like.
Yes, that could be. Yeah.
And because that's where I want it to go, is like starting like, I mean, there's really not much to say about these 4 games that we haven't said. All 4 games have been covered, which is why, that's where I was going to go 9 minutes ago. God, I suck at this job. I was a little, part of me is surprised it took so long to cover this, but part of me was like, is there really enough here? Like, they're great games, but I don't want to re-break down Mario 1, 2, 3 Lost Levels. We've done all those. But then I was like, when I got playing it, I'm like, the save functionality and the way they look and the way they sound and everything. It's just it would bother me if I wrapped up this podcast and never brought this package up because it's just too good a package to not sing the praises of.
It was one that got me excited. It was the first time that I even considered like, oh yeah, remake the old games, make them look better. It improved the games. You know, like I never had considered that because I think you are right. I think it is the first time it's like a game has been, you know, remastered.
Someone's gonna be like, tactically a Commodore game was remastered. Like, I understand, but like, this is the first good game that got remastered. Yeah. The first good games that got remastered. So shut up. What was
because you're also talking about ports. If it went from Commodore and then went to another system, that's a port. That's different, and you might improve it. Yeah,
exactly. This
is like going from the same maker, and they remade it for their better system. Like it's not really a port.
And I love that they didn't change a lot. Like they did change some things. Like in Mario 3, they added where you can play the mini game anytime you want. And like they added a couple of little things, but like, and I may be wrong on this because sorry about that, everybody. That's me. I don't know did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. I just got an email notification, but maybe you guys didn't hear it. Maybe only I heard it. What was I going to, goddamn stupid. It wasn't even a good email. It was like a spam email. Damn it. I can't remember because I haven't played the original Mario Brothers on this package in a while. I don't think in the original Mario Brothers, you can't do the high bounce. Like when you jump off an enemy, you don't go all the way to the top of the screen like you do in like Mario 3 and stuff. And I don't think they changed that. Don't quote me on that. I don't think they did. And I always liked that the original Super Mario Brothers, you can't get that high jump. It adds the level of difficulty to the game that I like. It would break the game, frankly, if you could.
I think that now you're reminding me of another thing that I think is different in number one. Like, because as I said, I think they kind of like tweaked some of the mechanics or something in it.
Yeah.
Because it's level 8-1 or 8-2. It's the one where there's a pipe, there's a 1 block gap, then there's like a thing that you like a block that you can stand on.
Yeah.
Another block gap, another block, and then a big jump.
That jump used to kill me all the time when I was a kid. That jump.
Well, you had to position yourself 2 different ways. Like the old, I forget which one is which, but it was like you had to stand on one side of the pipe and pick up enough speed to kind of do it. And in the other version, you kind of had to stand on the right side of the pipe and do it because you like the acceleration must have been a little bit different or something about it was mildly different, and it would throw me off. And it also threw me off when they, of course, made Super Mario 35 and released it again, and I'm like, oh no, I don't know.
Man, remember Mario 35?
I want that to come back.
I still to this day don't understand the logic. Like people were liking it. Why kill it? Why? Like, sell it. If you're like, yo, we can't give this away for free anymore, make it $10. People will give you $10 for that game. I don't get why they killed that game. I don't understand it. It's dude. Listen, I don't want to go. I could do I've done podcasts where all I do is get mad at Nintendo. And I don't want to do that today because I'm a Nintendo fanboy. I've never hidden that I'm a Nintendo fanboy. But some of the decisions that this company makes, you're like, if you didn't have Mario and Zelda and Donkey Kong and insert your favorite franchise here, I'd be so done with you. Because some of the things they do are so weird. God.
I have a feeling it's like a difference of like business culture in Japan. I think I think it's slightly different, you know?
Has to be. But it's just like deleting Mario 35. Like, why? Mario 3D All-Stars. Everybody loves it, but we're not selling it anymore. Why? And it's like, I don't know a lot about technology, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm telling you right now, Nintendo's online still is like a dial-up thing. Like, their online is so, and I understand that it's cheaper than the other ones and all that. I get it. But it's like, I don't think they know that voice chat is a thing. Like, I don't think they know the other systems do that. I don't think they're aware of it. They just.
Okay. To be fair to Nintendo on this one, if Nintendo is all about kids games, and you just let chat be a thing in a Nintendo game,
I mean,
game is no longer a kid's game.
I get
anymore.
that, but I mean, like, there's a lot of kids games now that, like, I get it, but they're just, and then listen, like, I really don't want to open the can of worms on Nintendo's online because, like, for the value, for what I get for the amount I pay, I'm happy with their online. It's just some of the things they do. I'm just like, man, you guys are just such a weird company. Anyway, we're going on.
Okay,
I want to get back to the good stuff they do, like Mario All Stars.
Save feature, which you mentioned, which is so huge. And what I liked is that they made the save feature different for each game, according to what the game was. Because what was it? Lost Levels, the hardest game on that collection by a long shot.
Oh, yeah.
They give you a save function per level, like you can restart from the level, which is huge. And I think I can't remember the others, but I think Mario 1 is you start at the beginning of the world.
Right.
And yeah, but I did appreciate that you could restart because I remember struggling so much. I actually technically have not beat Lost Levels, but I would have given up trying a lot earlier if I had to restart from the beginning with 3 lives.
Yeah, well, Lost Levels saving grace is just that you get infinite continues. Like, that's the only thing that saves that game from never being beaten. Like, that's the only way I've ever beaten that game, is you don't even have to cheat it. You do have infinite continues. But the save files still matter so much. I don't know if I've ever even used the save files for the original Mario Brothers, because I could beat that game in like 20 minutes. Like, I'm done. But Lost Levels, Mario 2, and obviously the big one, like
Mario 3.
Mario 3, dude, because like you can use the warp whistles, but that sucks. Like, that's not the same. And
if you want to experience all the levels, that's going to take you some time.
Dude, that's a long game, and I've said it many times. Like, I think Mario 3 is like everybody likes Mario 3, right? Like, is there anyone that doesn't think Mario 3 is a good video game? I don't know, but like, if it's got one glaring flaw, it's that there's no save. And like, listen, with Mario 1 and Mario 2, I can kind of understand the lack of save files because a lot of the early NES games didn't have them. By the time Mario 3 came out, save files were a thing. Like, battery saves were a thing. And I do not understand the logic. Other than maybe, like, it was, I don't know. Maybe they were like, well, we can manufacture these cards for $3 less a piece if we don't put a battery in. I don't know. And they sold 1 trillion copies. So if you sell 1 trillion copies and save $3 on every copy, that's $3 trillion. But like, that's my business logic. Everything's just trillions. That's how we work in here. But like, that game needed save files. That game is so, and the thing is, like you said, you can warp whistle, but you're doing yourself a grave injustice, skipping some of those levels and skipping right to level 8. Plus, you don't get all the power-ups and stuff. Like if you skip ahead to level 8. And like, how many of us, dude, you and I have talked a lot of NES games on the show. How many of us have left their NES on all day and gone to school or whatever because they were in the middle of a long game and they couldn't save, so they just turned off the TV and covered up the light and hope their mom didn't notice. Like, to be able to save, oh my God, I would love to know what percentage of kids finally saw Mario 3 all the way through for the first time with this compilation because they didn't have to use the warp whistles.
Like how much of a difference that made? Yeah. That's probably true. There's probably been.
And then not only the fact that you can save, but that you have 4 save files. For each game. It's not like a Pokemon thing where it's 1 save and then you got to buy another copy if you want more. Like, that's a big deal. Like, oh.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, that was that was a major thing. Also, did you know that there was another version of All Stars that also included Mario World?
So
Were you aware of it?
I knew of it, but I never even owned this as a kid. I used to rent it all the time. And my and my mom would always be like, "You already own those games." And I'd be like, "But these ones are better, like, as they look nicer." I'd never even, until I was like an adult, I knew of the Mario All Stars Mario World package, but I'd never seen one anywhere. Dude, that is like that cartridge contains so much joy. Mario 2, Mario 3, Mario Lost Levels, and Super Mario World all in one. That's not even fair. That is an all-star lineup. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like that's all of the Mario side scrollers of, well, at least from the home consoles, right?
Yeah.
Like those are the, like Mario 3 and Mario World are, I think, the two best Mario games. Like I kind of don't think of the 3D Marios in the same
If you're talking
in the same realm.
yeah, if you're talking
Because, like,
2D,
platforming is, because 2D platforming is way different than 3D platforming. They're not the same kind of game.
it's better. And I just want to get that in there. I like 3D. I like Mario 3D games and stuff, but 2D, I will never not prefer 2D platforming to 3D platforming. Never.
Mhm.
And I agree with you. Mario 3 and Mario World are the crown jewels
Yeah.
of 2D Mario. And to have them both on a package, and that's, you're like, so I don't know. I got to imagine they didn't remaster Super Mario World for that package. I
No,
assume
they did not.
it's exact
They
same
just-
game.
Yeah, they just put it on there, but actually, this is what I wanted to, as I'm thinking about this. I know we talked about how they updated the graphics. I think one of the ones, like Mario 1, obviously was a big change, and Lost Levels was a big upgrade. But I actually really also enjoyed the changes to Mario 3's aesthetic that they did, because the original NES version of Mario 3, like, I was not necessarily a big fan of some of the, like, style choices that they went with that. Like, when you go into it just, like, looked strange to me.
When he looks
And then-
straight at the camera when he goes down a pipe, he looks weird. He looks weird. He looks like his head is shaped like Arnold from Hey Arnold, like the football shape. It creeps me out. I don't like it. Sorry, continue.
But, like,
I hate that.
But just like, even when you go underground, and it was like the strange looking blocks underneath, and I didn't like that. Meanwhile, in Mario 3 or in All Stars, they would kind of like make it look like a cave somehow,
Yeah.
like.
Dude, and you know what else I really like that they changed is, and I don't have all the what exactly they went from and to in this one, but like,
Yeah.
I'm 90 because I've played the original NES Mario 3 a billion times, and playing through the All Stars version for the first time in quite a while, I'm 99% sure they changed some of the animals the kings got turned into when you got to
Oh, I
them, or the
think so.
princes, like the king, and like even that looked better. Oh, and then when you go to get on the airships, the way it looks like you're running outside of the castle, and then you jump up and
Yeah.
grab the thing, like it's
Yeah.
those little details, the backgrounds, like you said, the caves, the way you grab that thing. Like, forget the music, we'll get into all that too, but like maybe the thing that to me is the most impressive looking in these games is the backgrounds. Like, they look
Yes.
so. I would actually go as far as to say I actually like the way these games look better than Super Mario World. Like, and I love
Maybe-
Super Mario World, but I think these games look smoother. These games look nicer. They're like playing cartoons.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, All Stars probably had the benefit of, like, coming out after
Sure.
Super Mario World.
Sure.
So, like, Super Mario World was the first game that came out on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
This one had the benefit of, like, oh, we can even, like, make it look even better.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
thing.
For the record, like, that's less me dunking on the way Super Mario World likes, and more me just trying to show you just how much I love the way this game looks. Because everyone knows that, like,
Mhm.
I worship the altar of Super Mario World, and I think this game, like, I would love to see Super Mario World done in these graphics, like those
Like,
cartoony,
to have another
smoother-
go over kind of.
Yeah, like, dude, if they had included Super Mario World and redone it to look like these, oh, I don't know if everybody would have liked it. The only thing I don't like about the redone graphics in this is when you go into a bonus level, like in Mario 1, and your stupid fat face is floating in the sky behind you. Or like, I don't know why, I hate that. That's so weird. Like, I get that, like, listen, we're not going to sit here and argue whether or not the story of Mario makes sense. Because no, it doesn't. Mario is like 3 feet tall and obese, and he gets sent to some weird kingdom where he jumps on animals and fights lizards and can jump higher than Michael Jordan in Space Jam. And we all just turn a blind eye and we're like, it all makes sense. It's Mario. Shut up. But why would his face just be plastered to the back of the wall in these bonus areas? That bothers me. Like, make it say bonus. Don't make, I hate, like, and it does, but I hate it. I hate that. And I don't know why. I don't know if that bothers you as much as it bothers me. I hate it. I hate
That
other
this
than-
whole that somehow this whole universe revolves around the existence of this one man from apparently Brooklyn.
Imagine, David, imagine you won a house in New York, and they were like, we're moving you there, and you're going to be a star, and blah, 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 and you got there, and you're like, this is great. And then you walk into the bonus room of your house, and your face is just painted on the wall. You'd be like, what the fuck is that? Like, I know it's a little thing, but it literally, I'm trying to say the good and the bad about this package, and it literally is the only bad thing I have, is I hate that their face is plastered to the back of the, I hate it. It drives me insane every time I see it. I hate it.
I mean, I guess that speaks pretty well to the game, that if that is the thing you have to rail on.
Well, but like, it's true.
just to get the Adam Blank rage out, you have to complain about a background in a bonus level.
But like, also, well, it's so stupid. It drives me insane. But also, like, I'm calling my shot. I'm a fanboy. I'm wearing the fanboy glasses. I'm all over it. But I ask you, give me another criticism. Like
they don't it's really hard to complain, because one, if you had a complaint about any of the games, they it's not like they added more complaints. They sometimes fixed a lot of the stuff. There's not a lot to really complain about, because it just made everything it know what it did? I think it almost like it made the games look what you nostalgically remember the games to look like. You know what I mean? Like, they almost like, because sometimes I'll go back and play, one of the NES games. I'm thinking specifically of Ninja Turtles, the arcade game. Yeah. And I know it looked better in the arcade. I know it did. At least I think so. But now maybe I'm also forgetting. But like, but especially when you go back now and play it, on the console, it's like, oh, this game didn't look that great. Like, it looked good. Like,
but you saw it through your child.
You imagined it was.
Yeah, you saw it through your little kid eyes, and like it blew everything up and made it prettier and nicer. And
but Mario All Stars did do that.
It did.
That's what it's like. This is as cool as I kind of like maybe remembered it or imagined it to be, kind of a thing.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy too is like. And again, I'm sorry I keep comparing this to like modern Nintendo, but like it's in ways it fits. Like the Mario 3D All-Stars package that came out for the Switch last year, or whenever it came out with Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy. Like I thought it was a good package. I really did. But like they really did nothing to those games. Like they cleaned up the controls a little bit, but they were like, for the most part, it's their ROMs. Like these are the games. And and a lot of companies do that now. You see, like I have the Castlevania collection, I have Mega Man collections, I have the Contra collections, I have all those on my Switch, and it's nice that they've added save states and stuff like that. But for the most part, like they're just the games, and we see them. Like, how many of people listening to this these days buy a modern compilation package of like retro games, and other than maybe adding save states, they're maybe like a rewind feature, like they're basically just ROM dumps of the old games for the most part. And that's just become the industry standard for these packages. Yeah. And you look at this, and like, David, if they had wanted to, they could have just dropped Mario 1, 2, 3 as they played on the NES, as they looked, onto a Super Nintendo package and sold it. But then they were like, well, let's give them Lost Levels, because that'll get some people to buy it, because that's a game they've never played before. And it was like, agreed, because that was the first time we got it. But then they could have just done that, and people would have bought it, because there was a new old Mario game. But then they were like, let's remake it, everything, and make it all look nice. Let's clean up the sound. Let's add all that. Like, this is just one of those prime examples of like, and I feel a lot of, I'm not calling game developers lazy, but the business has certainly changed from 1993 to 2022. This was a time where they had to earn your dollar and earn your business, and they did so much. This is one of those games where you can see the heart and see the passion they put into it, this package, and it just it paid. Like, that's why this is talked about as like an all-time great, instead of just like, well, these are just re-released Mario games. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think you kind of touched on why they haven't, which is like you said, like, if they would have just dropped this into a cartridge, not updated anything, and like sold it, that would have been enough. that's it. Like that's your answer right there of like why it is now. There's something about like the thing back in those days where they could like, oh, we believe that we actually have to put in a lot of effort and work to make
Sure.
this be. But maybe as they've gone along, they realize you don't need to do that, and it takes a lot of resources to do that.
It does,
Like,
yeah.
here's the question, because I actually haven't really played the Super Mario All Stars 3D.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking of Super Mario 64. Did they like improve the polygons? Because
Not, it's
like
pretty ugly.
it's very blocky, right?
Yeah.
Like they didn't
Now,
even.
no, they didn't clean it up. Like, it's not like now, here's the thing. It would have been great if they had made Mario 64 look like Mario Galaxy. But I'm also assuming, not knowing anything about technology or game development, it is a substantially bigger undertaking to make Mario
Probably.
64 look like Mario Galaxy than it is to make Mario Brothers look like Mario World. Like,
Well,
I'm sure it's harder, but
Yeah, but I don't know if like would it be that much more to like round out the polygons?
yeah, I don't.
You know what
I
mean?
don't like. Listen, I like the 3D All Stars package. I don't have
Yeah.
a problem with people saying that it was kind of half-assed. I don't have a problem with anybody saying that because I kind of feel the same way. And like,
Because that's the difference that we're saying here to a certain degree. Like it is probably like way. You are right. It probably is way harder to really upgrade 3D stuff.
sure,
And like maybe they didn't even have the files from Super Mario 64 to truly be able to like
yeah, maybe.
tinker with it. Whereas like the timeline between Super Mario All Stars and Mario 1, 2, 3 is like a lot shorter, so they probably still had access to all that
Sure.
stuff.
And to me, like it's just a testament to how the high quality of this package when they're like, instead of just giving us Mario 1, 2, 3 as they are, they're like, let's throw in a fourth game. Let's make them all look better. Let's add save files. Let's do all of this stuff. And then they were like, okay, well, that did really well. Let's take Super Mario World and throw it in there and sell it like that too. Imagine today if they had released 3D All-Stars, but they were like, oh, by the way, here's a Mario game that you never got in North America. We threw that in there too. Oh, by the way, we cleaned it all up. And then imagine a year later, they're like, this sold really well. We're going to re-release it with Mario Odyssey in it as well. Like, I get that it's a different game and the development costs are infinitely higher than they were and all that, but that's what this was in 1993. Like, that is a massive deal. The only other reason I can think that they put that much time into cleaning these games up and make them look nice is at this point, Genesis was nipping at their heels and putting a bit of a fear of God in them, and they were like, let's make these games look as good as Sonic looks. Because I've never hidden the fact that I don't love old school Sonic, but I adore the way the Sonic games look on the Genesis. I still to this moment think they look better than anything Mario did back then. But these are as close to me as Mario got to looking as good as the Sonic games.
Yeah.
Like,
And I mean, there is a little bit of a difference there too, because like they made Sonic like a bigger sprite and everything like that. Like it's a difference of like the design that like really showed that.
Yeah.
But
like it's so funny, because like when they released, like everybody knows to various levels they dunk on them. Nintendo is so infamous for reselling us their old games over and over and over. They're like, hey, we put them all on the Wii. Then they're like, we put them all on the Wii U, but you're going to have to pay more to transfer them over to the Wii U. Then they're on the Switch, but you can't have any of the ones you already bought. You got to pay for our subscription service. Now they're on the 3DS, but you're going to have to buy them again. We all know that's what Nintendo does. They resell their old games. And of all the examples of them reselling their old games, you look at this and you're like, this is like the first time they resold us old games. And to this day, it might be the best way they've resold us old games. Like every other one from this, you could argue, has been a little bit crappier. Or a little bit more frustrating. But this time, like, my God, did they ever nail this? I don't know. Maybe they didn't have that, like, that Nintendo invincibility. I feel like Nintendo, I mean, maybe the Wii U showed them that, like, hey, you could still fuck this up. But, like, for the most part, and I love the Wii U, but the Wii U was a disaster. But for the most part, Nintendo's almost untouchable at this point. Like they've got their franchises, and for all the hate they get online for some of the things they do, Nintendo, like Mario, will always sell. Always sell. In fact, I would go as far as to say, like, we've talked about this hypothetically before. Imagine if Nintendo decided to get out of the hardware market and just go third party.
Yeah.
Imagine the bidding war between Microsoft and PlayStation to get their hands on Nintendo, to get their hands on like, oh my God,
exclusives and
Mario,
stuff like that.
Donkey Kong, Zelda, exactly, right? Like,
Yeah.
And I feel like Nintendo they can make these weird decisions with their weird systems and their weird online because they know that people are always going to want Mario games. But this was an example, and maybe they didn't have that swagger back then. Maybe that's why we got the best of them in this package. But like,
Yeah.
it's just truly, I know I keep repeating myself, but I'm just floored at the quality of this pack. Like replaying it, I was like, this is so fucking good. Like in every way. Oh my God, it looks so good. I love it. I love this package so much.
So I have a couple of questions for you that I feel like, because I feel like we've kind of like covered like a lot of the updates and everything like that.
Yeah.
Did you want to talk about music at all? I didn't necessarily have anything because I can't recall if there is a difference in the music. There might have been.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit better, but like I mean, like I like all of the Mario music.
It probably didn't sound as MIDI.
Yeah.
You know, like it didn't sound like MIDI files. I'm assuming, but I can't recall.
Yeah,
I'm not one for sounds as much.
Like I play a lot of the times when I play Mario, even as a kid, I would have the sound off and I would like listen to my Walkman. And now like I'll listen to a YouTube video or watch TV while I'm playing or something. So like admittedly I don't and I've heard these songs so many times that I'm like I'm good. But I'm 90% sure they did clean the music up a little bit.
Just probably made it cleaner, but so here's the question I have for you. If would you rather actually, let's start with this. Which series from Nintendo would you like to see get like the Super Mario, like the All-Stars treatment? If you could take like a series and just make the graphics.
Does it have to be a Nintendo owned series, or does it just have to be like a series on the NES?
It could be a series on the NES, yeah.
Then Mega Man 1 through 6 done up like this.
Actually, that would be. Because that was the thing about Mega Man games, like they had very blank backgrounds.
Like I mean, they did their like. I mean, I'm sure they did their best, but yeah, I agree. Like, dude, so there actually is. Before everyone messages me and tells me this, on Genesis, and actually it's on Nintendo Online now too. The Mega Man Wily Wars is like a 16-bit remake of Mega Man 1, 2, 3 that look like what these would look like, and they look awesome, but I don't care what you all say, and I like the Genesis. The Genesis controller is not precise enough for a game like Mega Man. I hate the D-pad. The D-pad works for Sonic, and it works for looser games. The precision Mega Man takes, I don't think that controller works. So that would be, but yeah, I would Mega Man all day. Mega Man 1 through 6 done up like this. Oh, I'm not even kidding, and I'm going to ask you your answer. But you give me Mega Man 1 through 6 with better graphics, better music, save files. I'm not even joking, and I know some of you get mad at this, but like I would pay $100 for that package. I would be like, I'd be all over because I love those games so much, and I want to see them done better. So that would be my pick. What about you?
Now I was going to say, like I was thinking in Nintendo things, and I was like, oh, it'd be probably a Zelda thing. But the thing with Zelda is like they didn't really have backgrounds. I guess in Zelda 2, when you go to the side scrolling, there was like, but Mega Man is such a good. I think you nailed it because here's the thing with Mega Man. A lot of the stuff that was not great about it was like the backgrounds and stuff. Like it was blank backgrounds, and the structures that you're climbing on were very basic. Like the characters look great,
but like even they do. But even them, like imagine the Robot Masters with like more detail, like bigger, brighter sprites. You know? Oh, and that
you could update them. But basically, what I'm saying is like I think you're right. Where there's just so much detail they could then add to those games.
Plus,
that's just not there. And the music, I don't know if you'd need to really change the music too much, especially in Mega Man 2. But
that's what I was gonna say. If you just polish up that music a little bit more, like buddy,
they can do it.
I could have a whole because I wanted to say the Contra games too, but like I've always said this,
Sure.
like I actually don't like Contra 3, the Alien Wars on the Super Nintendo very much. And I know a lot of people love it. I much prefer Contra and Super C. I think less is more with them. I like how they're tight and I find Contra 3 I have a harder time seeing where all the shots are coming from and stuff compared to the NES ones. I think Castlevania would be rad. I think seeing games like Kirby or River City Ransom, like there's so many Battletoads, like there's so many classic NES games I'd love to see.
Like
get
the
this
Double
treatment.
Dragons and all this kind of stuff. Yeah.
But I just, man, I
Well,
don't.
I'll ask this because this is sort of like a remake question. Do you think? Did you like Link's Awakening? They redid it in 3D, or
I loved it.
do you think that they could do that with the Mario Brothers? So it's kind of like the same question, but just like flip flopped. As in, if you took like Mario 1, 2, 3 and just kind of like made it sort of 3D-ish, like.
I mean, I'd play it.
I guess the mechanics would change too much. You'd have to completely redesign the game.
Yeah, like because the thing is, like Link's Awakening is top down. I think if you were to if you were to remake these games again now, you'd have to make them look like the new Super Mario Brothers games.
Yeah,
and new Super Mario Brothers takes more shit than I think it deserves, but I do like these better. Like I like these better.
And the mechanics would suffer, I think, like because the differences between like the way new Super Mario Brothers moves versus say Mario 1, it would like I don't think it would work as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess if you're going to do Zeldas, like Mario Zelda 1,
like to see
or
Zelda
2.
1 remade looking kind of like Link to the Past, and then to see Zelda 2 just remade in an art style like this.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty sick. Like I'd be all over that. But I don't know if they'll ever do it again. I doubt they will. With this, like I wonder with this package too, like because at this point Genesis is around. Genesis is kind of scaring them a little bit. They're fully aware that at this point there's no Pokemon. Zelda's relevant, but Mario is still the captain of this team. I wonder if part of it was they're like, hey, we could probably bang this out without too much work and time and resource, spending, and this'll keep us afloat till whatever the next bit. You know what I mean? Like this is one more bullet in that chamber.
You're probably right. Yeah.
Like I wonder if that's part of it because they do go back. I mean, it's the Mario well, right? Like they're always going to go back to the Mario well. But like this fact still remains, and I know we're going around in circles. This is why I was like not sure if this would even work for an episode because we've already covered all these games. But like I just like I cannot praise enough. There's literally no half-assing in this package. It is just quality all the way through, and the value is insane. In fact, I would go as far as to say, if you gave me a Super Nintendo and said I could only own one cartridge, without even thinking twice, it would be the All-Stars plus Mario World package. Yeah. Like, it's the value there is unbelievable. Like,
well, how about this? If you could not get the one that also included Super Mario World, would you choose Super Mario World on its own, or would you take this package of 4?
Oh, fuck. I don't know. I'm like, I don't... There's more value.
Is the greatest... Super Mario World, I think, is the greatest game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is the greatest game.
But like...
hard to shit.
I can play these 4 more than I can play one Super Mario World. I don't know. What would you take?
I think I would agree. I would go with the package of 4, as hard as it would be. But because Super Mario 3 is kind of like, 3/4 of the way to Super Mario World. You know what I mean? Like it's. If
Mario World's a 10, then I'm like Mario 3, especially these versions of them. I'm like Mario 3 is a 9. Mario 8 is an 8, or Mario 2 is an 8. The original Mario is probably close to an 8. Lost Levels is like a 7. I like it, but it's
it's so tough. It's hard to enjoy it when it's so difficult. Yeah.
I would rather have 4 slices of good pizza than 1 slice of great pizza. Yeah. Like I'd rather have 4s. Yeah, but I don't want to ever answer that. That sucks.
Yeah, that's a hard question. Hey, I know how to. Because we could just put every great game in. Yeah, sure, I'd buy one cartridge that has all the great games.
Yeah, but that's like the thing is like it's not even cheating this time because this one really does. They really like I can't even believe that exists. Like again, imagine like Here's Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, Mario Galaxy 2, and we added Odyssey. Like, and I understand they're much bigger, longer, more expensive games, but like, that's an insane amount of value. It's insane. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, here's the question. Would you rather have Super Mario All-Stars with the Super Mario World or the Super Mario All-Stars 3D?
Oh, All-Stars with Mario World. Yeah. Just because I like 2D Mario much better. Like, and I listen, Mario Sunshine is a weird. I like that game. That's a weird fucking game.
Yeah, it's a weird game.
and Mario 64 I've made peace with, but if I never played that game again, I'd be fine. So
I've made peace.
Like,
yeah, it's dying in its hospital bed.
Yeah, we finally
said your final goodbyes.
We called a truce after it was because of the 3D All Stars re-release because I got to play with a Pro controller, and I was like, man, when you actually have a controller, Mario 64 is pretty damn good. Anyway.
It's like Bret Hart fixing things up with Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh Jesus. Okay, we should wrap. I don't know what else to say. I don't know this. I hope this was a fun episode for everybody. This was more of a Nintendo discussion, but I mean, if you're interested, if you go back in the archives, Mario 3 was back in like I think episode 16. Mario 2 was I don't know somewhere in the 70s or 80s. Lost Levels was somewhere in there. Mario 1 was episode 150. We've gone into great detail on all 4 of these games before. So I mostly just wanted to blow this compilation because I just think it's so damn good.
I guess the last thing I'll say is, like, as we've kind of covered, is that it's the only compilation that really swung for the fences and, like, did something with it that was like genuinely elevated the core of it.
Yeah.
Like you see remasters now and it's like, yeah, it looks maybe a little bit cleaner, a little bit like, oh, there's more ray tracing in it or whatever.
Yeah.
But it essentially looks like the same game. It doesn't play that. This is such a stark difference.
Yeah.
And I think that's why to talk about this compilation and makes sense. I don't think there's another compilation game that you could really put on any kind of like worthwhile.
No. And the thing is like we're seeing tons of these retro collections now. Everybody knows, right? Contra, Castlevania, Sonic, Mega Man. The list goes on and on about all these. We're about to get the Cowabunga collection for the Ninja Turtles. Now, I will say they're not charging full price for any of those compilations. Sure. Like, they're not charging $80 Canadian for those. So, like, if they were, listen, like, if the Cowabunga collection, that Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection that's coming out in a couple weeks, if they were charging $80 for that, I could see, I would be like, whoa, what the fuck? But they're giving you like a package of retro games at a discount price. I'm fine with that. But if they put the work into those games, they did this one and cleaned up all the graphics and everything, they could get away with charging full price. Like I would be considered because at this point, like I have played Super Mario 3 on the NES countless times and playing the All-Stars version, it's not a brand new game, but in some ways it does feel like it. Like, it is really spectacular. Like, it is just... This is... Okay, so before we close it, because we will score this and wrap this up. If you had one choice for the rest of your life, you can either play the original versions of these games, or you can play the All-Stars versions. Which one are you taking?
All-Stars hand down.
Right?
Like, I would not even think twice.
Me too. And that's a testament to how good this is, because those games are some of, like... I know you're in the same boat as me. Like, the original NES versions of these games are some of my most beloved video games ever. And I would give them up if I could only play these versions instead, because these versions are just better.
Yeah.
Like, that's incredible.
Absolutely.
Whereas, like, and like, that doesn't happen a lot. Imagine, ask a diehard Star Wars fan. You can only watch, like, the modern Blu-ray, DVD, whatever versions, or you can watch the original versions of the Star Wars trilogy. I don't know, but I assume a lot of people want to go with the original versions. Like, I don't know.
Like before all the special edition changes.
Yeah, like it just that doesn't happen often. That's a good there we go. God, there we go. How the hell do we score? I mean, I don't want to score it out of 4 because that's too easy. You know what? You need 100 coins to get an extra life. That'll work.
Yeah.
So out of 100, what would you score? And we are not doing Super Mario All-Stars plus Super Mario World, because I'm not gonna lie to you all. I would give that 200 out of 100. We're just doing Super Mario All-Stars without Super Mario World. What are you scoring it out of 100?
You know what? Because in the past when I've rated these games, I usually do like the modern, like what do I rate them now versus how I would rate it back then. And I think what's unique about this one is that it's going to be the same score for me. And I think it's like, this is probably like 9. It's 9 because of the value. You
Yeah.
get like 4 games. You get it's different vibes to it. Like Super Mario 2 is different than the others around it.
Yeah.
You know, like they all play a little bit different. They all have, and they're all good quality games. So it's kind of like the sum of it is better than the individual parts.
Totally.
Right? Like
Yeah.
it elevates it even on a modern scale for me.
Absolutely. Truth be told, man, when you and I sat down 49 minutes ago and started talking, I was ready to go like one of my rare 100 out of 100s. Because I'm like, I love all these games. I love Super Mario. But I'm going to go 99 out of 100 because
of the Mario.
fucking bonus faces. It costed a point. I hate those faces so much. That costed a point. Outside of that, though, like these games are practically flawless. And I can't imagine there's very many people listening to this that haven't played these. But if by some insane chance you haven't, if you've got a Switch, they're included with SNES Online, and they are just the definitive way to play 3 of the greatest platformers ever made and one of the biggest trolling platformers ever made in Lost Levels. But like, great game. I adore this package. So good. And I think we're done.
Yeah. Should I promo my stuff?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's all that's left. What do you got going on? Tell people where to find your voice or whatever else. I don't care.
Yeah, the thing that's I still been working on is a podcast called Quantum Kickflip, which is about teenagers going into other dimensions to play stunts and tricks and all that kind of stuff. A lot of good teenage angst in there, but it's a lot of fun based on a game called Slug Blaster, which was designed by an Edmonton fellow here. And yeah, we just wrapped up season 1. So if you're like one of those people, like, I just want to wait till the thing's done and I can just, pile through it. Season 1 is completely out now, and we are going to be starting season 2 with new characters. And we're still going to be playing Slug Blaster, but we're going to have a new game master, and I'm really looking forward to it. So, awesome. And I think we landed the finale. I don't like to toot my horn too much on things, like I get hard on myself, but I think we actually did well, and I'm very proud of it. So
good. I know for a fact there are members of our community that listen and love that show too. So check it out, everybody. Quantum Kickflip. You will be able to find its information in the information on this show. So it's like, I was trying to think of like a clever way to say it.
.com. If you can find all the stuff there. Facebook, it's simple. People know how to operate in the real world now.
Yeah, I feel like you make the links and stuff, but it's like, just fucking Google the name of the thing and you'll find it.
Yeah,
fucking. If I can do it, you can do it.
Quantum kickflips are out there.
Yeah, exactly. If I can do it, you can fucking do it. Quantum kickflip. But the information, I can't imagine. You know what? Actually, I'd be willing to go as far as to bet that like not a single person has ever been like, I'm going to go to the description of this podcast to find. Like, no one does that. They find shit on Google. I've never done it. I've found other things that are plugged. I never go to the description of the podcast to find stuff. But if by some chance you're a boomer and you don't know how to do anything else and you want it will be there. You can find it in the description of the podcast. So
yeah, you know how boomers just love video games?
Yeah. You know what? I'm just gonna start leaving like secret messages in the descriptions of the podcast to see if anyone ever reads them. Because every week, it's the thing I hate the most about the podcast. Every week is writing up the little like description, and I hate doing that. And it's just like no one reads this. I'm gonna start writing that in there. At some point, I'm just gonna put keywords in the descriptions and just see if anyone finds any of them. But
yeah.
Anyway, buddy, good stuff, David. Thanks for doing this, man. That was fun. And that's going to do it for this week's episode. David, thank you so much for giving me a call and talking Super Mario All-Stars. And every single one of you nerds listening right now, whether this was your first experience with Remember the Game or your 210th, thank you so much for the support. I very much appreciate it. Like David mentioned, no one's going to look in the description of the podcast for it. Just Google Quantum Kickflip. But you will find his information in the podcast description if you're interested. And speaking of Google and stuff like that, if you thought, hey, this was not that bad of a podcast. Maybe leave us a nice review. We've been getting some nice reviews lately, and they make me feel good when I feel bad about myself. You can just give it 5 stars on whatever podcast service you're on. I'm not sure what it accomplishes, but if the good podcasts are asking for it, then we're fucking gonna. And if you're thinking, man, I would really like more of these, well, if I got news for you, my friend, there is well over 200 bonus podcasts waiting for you at patreon.com/rememberthegame. The second you sign up for $2 a month, instant access to over 200 podcasts, and you're getting 2 additional ones every week. Tomorrow, expansion pass number 124 will go live, where I'll be ranking the best games I've played since I launched Remember the Game, and game patch 102.0 will go live on Friday, which will cover all the biggest news in video games over the past week or so. So patreon.com/rememberthegame. You get extra podcasts. You can join our Discord. You can DM with me. You can fucking write in to play along on the show. All kinds of fun stuff about the best value ever. And 5% of it's being donated to charity. You can also find me on Twitch. Twitch.tv/rememberthegame. I have no real schedule, so just follow and then it'll tell you when I'm on. And you can come by whenever I'm there and tell me I'm stupid or whatever you want to do. And I don't always plug it, but we have a P.O. Box as well. It's P.O. Box 69181, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, T6V1G7. And if you can't remember that, it's just fine. I can't, and it's my P.O. Box. Go to rememberthegamepodcast.com, and you can find that address and links to our Patreon and links to our back catalog and just about everything else you could possibly want to know about the show. All right? That's going to do it for this week's episode. We'll be back next week with Remember the Game number 211. And admittedly, I don't know what game that's going to be about yet, but a couple of the contenders are Altered Beast, are Tubin, are Metroid for the NES, are Abe's Odyssey. I have no idea which one it's going to be, but there'll be an episode there in 7 days. All right? I'm going to shout out some Patreons and get the hell out of here. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'll talk to you on the next one. Cheers. Goodbye. Remember the Game is brought to you by our Patreons. I could not puke up all the content I churn out every week without all of your support. The following people are at the senior executive vice president level or higher at patreon.com/rememberthegame, and as such, I am contractually obligated to thank them at the end of every podcast. So a huge thank you to Makeshift Mellow, Magic Shift Money, Joe Buck, Sharonic, Andre, Keegs and his stupid arrow handle, James Clark, King Bahamut, that name fucked me up getting thrown in there. King Bahamut, Dave McGee, DNA Gaming, Slick Rick, Doug Dorn, Charlie Medeiros, Andrew Wright, Jordan, The Good Enough Gamer on YouTube, Fraser Burns, Lil Bunny Fufu 89, Angry Ticks, Dave Thompson, No One Cares, Brandon O'Brien, Aaron Lawson, Nathan Tremblay, A-Town, Morgan, Zane Donovan, Ryan Kinchin, Mike Maloney, G9PSX, Wolfgang Darren, Sam Wright, Andy Hudson, Chris Coplin, Doogie, Wolf Magic 21, Johnny CCDC, Joe LeBlanc, Squints, Titan 420, Zonko 504, Russell Aldridge, Jeff Bergeron, Captain N, Game Nomad Misi, Daniel, Tunable Power, John Woodruff, Randy Barrage, Just a Fish, Noob Q, Super Dad Bros Podcast, Enzalo, Holmes, Zach Shepard, Chris Dickin, Matthew D'Amico, Frosty Feet 492, Triple, Austin Cook, Elijah Burns, Stephen Parnell, Ray San Wantongo, DBXJ, Jameer Williams, Steve Dalk, Phil McCracken, Trav H, Mizuru, Nicholas Chaffee, David Marcus, Phil Lencher, Ruben Elizald, Eric James, Riley Turvey, Jake Carter, Mexican Johnny, C-Spin, Thomas Smith, Nicola, Munch Makuchi, Leroy Westrich, Dark Squall, Jerry the 3D Printed Saustrich, Russell Segway. How the fuck do I say your last name? God, that name fucks me up, Russell. And you've told me, and I still can't fucking get it right. Russell, there. Evolva, Sean Ramos, DB Cooper, Stud Still Smash, Mojo the Helper Monkey, Brant Hewitt, Gabe, Dan Fusselman, Aaron Mitson, Fuzzy99, Decoy Man, John Jameson, Blaine the Hoagie Man, Scary Terry, Bucky Duck, Benjamin Swiller, Hogzilla, Hego Waffle, Kayach, Jimothy, Joe Stone, Chris Williams, Oroku Saki's Gardener, Nicole Novak, Cody Richardson, General Fury, Dem Boys on the Roof, James Juan Francesco, The Jamadian Nightmare, Matt Hamilton, Nomad, James Black, Sam Carpenter, Nerdy Hybrid, Adam Fletcher, Colin Bollinger, Justified 01, Lucas, Joey Mercury, You Lick My Butt, IR Jackal, Theorand, Squeak Nuts, Isaias, Timmy the Exuberant Turtle, Lance Jones, Brian Neese, Christian Gabriel, Maverick Marty, Big Poppy Logan, Phil, John M. Watkins, Beef Dingleberry, Hitchy Poo, Daniel Matthews, Arctic Fission. This has been a really bad edition of the shoutouts. Romaldo Marquez, Connor McCann, Bulma Simp, Mark Nele, Darren Dickey, Trevor McKee, Quiet Place Queen, Cam Nelly 23, and Zamatos. Holy fuck, I suck at this. Thank you so much for the support, everybody. You're all the best, and I'll talk to you again next time. Fuck. Whatever. So long. Thank you. Purple Monkey Dishwasher.